this is a resort world in Stellaris. It's been forgotten about mechanically until the recent update 3.11, where some changes were made. In this video, we're going to break down what a resort world is, how to get it, how to use it, some tips on how to get the most out of it, and when to make one in the newest update. The resort world technology is now not rare, and it's even cheaper being a tier 2 technology rather than a free previously. This means you can potentially get it earlier, but we'll get on to if that matters later on. To create a resort world, you must have an empty planet with no buildings or districts, like so. It also cannot be an eco-monopolis, relic world, or no longer a doom world. You come over to decisions and create a resort world for 100 Unity. Previously, you would get 100% habitability, but that is now gone, which is a shame as you probably don't want to waste a planet that could be used for resources. We can now get a resort world earlier on in the game compared to the last time, but does this even matter? As you can see, we've built the resort world and we now have a new district, the resort district, as well as a limited number of buildings that we can actually build. Before this update, there were no unique districts and the modifiers would just be applied once you have one these planets. Now, however, we get the benefits for working these district jobs. So we get it earlier, but you need to work the jobs to actually get the benefit. So what does the district give? We get 4 housing, 0.5 building slots, and 2 resort worker jobs. Resort workers give 4 trade value, 1% amenities on every single planet, 1% trade value for living standards on all your planets, and produces a base of 2 Unity, as we can see here. They also have a 2 consumer good upkeep, which is quite expensive. Now we're going to break down each one of these to figure out if this is worth doing at all. Firstly, the trade value. This is 1 more than a clerk and equal to it if we go for the mercantile tradition and go for trickle up economics, as this gives an extra trade value for clerks. This is also half that of the value of a trader. You might think this isn't amazing, and you'd probably be right, but we do get 1% trade value from living standards. So maybe the trade dream isn't dead. So what does this mean? Living standards are located in species, then select species, set rights, living standards. Now we have a bunch to choose from. There's no trade value here. That's right. For some reason, Stellaris hides the trade values from pops, but each pop has a base trade value that gets applied. As we can see from planet summary, trade value from pops. So there is some trade value coming from here, but it doesn't say what. Now we can actually tell if we go into the wiki. Decent conditions, the usual default, grants 0.5 trade per ruler, 0.33 per specialist, and 0.2 per worker. The highest is chemical bliss or utopian abundance with 0.5 per each pop, no matter what they were. These base values are, however, not that high, meaning the percentage increase from our jobs over here aren't going to apply that much compared to say 4 and 0.5. Remember, living standards increase consumer good upkeep, so this bonus percent might not actually make up the raw loss, but we can test that out later. Okay, so these 2 were minor buffs. They weren't amazing, but there's more to offer, so let's check those out. Next, we do get 1% for amenities. This is just categorically not needed early on. You don't have many pops on planets, so the amenity usage isn't that high, and usually if we were running out of amenities, we could come over and build a holo theater, which would give us 20 amenities, and that would be us sorted until the late to mid game. It's also just way better to work raw jobs, as if you've watched any of my videos, make sure to subscribe so you can go on a Stellaris binge in the future. Working raw output jobs is better than increasing amenities, which in turn increase stability, which does increase resources, trade, and immigration pull, but the percent does not make up for just bigger raw number. Of course, this is better later game, so you might be seeing where this is going, but yes, this is not worth it early game at all. And finally, Unity, which produces a base of 2. This is half that of a base production bureaucrat, but remember, bigger base number means better percentage buffs. It's not amazing, it's okay. All of these added up, they're not a bad job. They're very all over the place, but they could be good. However, remember, we do have an upkeep of 2 consumer goods base. We can compare that to a clerk, which gives the same or slightly less trade, 0.25. However, for the Unity production, bureaucrats do have a base of 2 as well. However, these jobs are specialists, which means they can give more trade value from the living standard, but that's not huge. Now, the resort world isn't just jobs. We do have the resort world planet modifier, which gives 25% immigration pull, but 25% less max district. This probably means you want a bigger world if you want to really benefit from these buffs and push that that percent numbers as high as you can. Then you'll benefit from the immigration pull and you won't get too affected by the max districts. But remember, these planets could also be producing other things, so keep that in mind. Now, the last thing that we do have is the designation. There's only one, the resort world. This gives 10% trade value, which is 10% less than an urban world designation. And we also get 5% unity from jobs, which is 5% less than the unification center, but we also don't get the up. The adaptability finisher does also grant you 5% more unity. This would do the same for the unification center and 5 trade to the urban world. So this is kind of splitting your focus to trade and unity on the resort world. And that's kind of what this world is about. Trade, unity. So as mentioned, we did have a limited number of buildings that we can build. This is severely limited. It's mainly just housing, trade, and amenities. It could house your auto-creating vault, which you can only build one of, which will give your empire modifier, unity, officer capacity, and you'll get a politician job. Now, which is really sad, even if you go genetics, you cannot get any pop assembly jobs. So you're just limited to the growth and the amenity pull. I really don't see why you wouldn't be able to build a clone vat, but I guess it is a resort world. So is this planet worth it? So all of these added up really show me that early game, this is not worth rushing down. However, later on in the game, when you filled up most of your resource production jobs, then maybe you're just stuck employing clerks. This job is better to fill, and then maybe you should make a resort world. To be honest, I only really see the resort worker job as a glorified clerk. It's just look but better, only slightly. Remember though, this does take up a planet, so maybe it's just worth having another alloy world. However, remember, this is very strong for roleplay. A resort world where you can send your pops to go have a nice time after working in the mines, or as the technician job. If you want to build one, build it. It's the game. Have fun. Now, we can theorize all we want, but let's look at some examples and effects the resort world can have on an empire. So here is a real game I've been playing on this channel. We were playing as a galactic doorstep to try out the new changes. Now, I did have a world that I didn't settle. I've played quite tall, so maybe this world would be better as something else. We've maxed out the resort district. We've moved over because we did get a planet that had way too many pops on. It was going to revolt, and we moved them over. We've got some entertainers. I don't know if we need both of them or any of them. No, we don't, because we do have medical workers. I think maybe medical workers are worth it on a resort world because they'll give you pop, growth speed, habitability, and a bit of amenities. And then we have 19 resort workers that are giving us those amenities and trade everywhere else. Now, we are still building up our empire. We're not trying to work clerk entertainer jobs. So the bonus amenities here is actually pretty nice. It means we can shove everything else into other jobs and we don't need to worry too much. And as we do fill up the amenity jobs, our stability will hopefully go higher, meaning our resources go up. Something I'm quite interested in trying is seeing how the bonus modifiers like trade from living standards actually affects this empire. We're not a huge empire, we have 241 pops. So let's try something out. So we have this resort world set up, but it's not really getting many benefits to the trade because we're on decent conditions for everyone. We're at 440 from trade. If we come over to our species tab, set default rights, apply everyone to utopian abundance, and then reset everyone to default, they all should be utopian abundance, except for our main species for some reason. So we should see a big rise. We go up about 31 in trade. We have very bad consumer goods, but the percent modifier should apply way more. I don't think it's entirely worth doing it like this, like maximizing your trade from living standards. I think it's just a benefit, really. We've raised it a little bit, getting up to 24% now. This planet was quite small. It's a size 13. It's really not that great. If this empire was way bigger and super late game, I think this would benefit more, but I don't have any saves for the super late game, especially the current patch, which might affect it. Let me know what you think of the resort world. I think it's still just a good RP planet. I don't think I'd be building any. It's all right for a bit of unity. We can get ministry culture down, stuff like that, but it's not that good. How could they make this better? I think they just need to tweak the numbers. Honestly, trade value from living standards sucks. Imagine if this was trade, just flat trade, or maybe a lower percent. This would be a staple to trade build. Maybe you raise the amenities, so it's a staple for a lot of builds if they're struggling for amenities. The numbers just don't really make sense, especially because you have to commit pops to it now, but previously you didn't have to. But if you did enjoy this video and you want to see me cry trying to get achievements in Stellaris, click here to watch a playlist. It's fun, you get to be entertained and also learn some stuff about the game and watch me suffer. Mainly watch me suffer.